Hey guys, I'm Sean McAnally.
John Hall.
If you can tell, our studio looks a little different today. Our other one's getting painted a little bit, so but we were happy to come in here and do this. Hopefully this works out for you. One thing I just noticed is me and Dr. Hall swapped places, but hey, it is what it is. But hey guys, today what I want to talk to you about, or what we will talk to you about, is the gut microbiome, the friendly bacteria in our stomach, intestines, and whatnot. Autophagy and apoptosis, and how important that really is. I know a couple of statistics that I personally read that like 80% of your immune system's in your gut. Another thing I remember reading was the gut-brain axis there, about 80% of your serotonin's made in your gut by those friendly bacteria. And a lot of you that know, or you may not, but like one of the main things that are prescribed to people that suffer from depression or anxiety or something like that is an SSRI. That's a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. Well, that's to try and get a little more serotonin to stay up there. So, needless to say, if our gut's not healthy, we're going to have some issues. So that's what we want to talk to you about today. Dr. Hall, shed some light on this for us.
Okay. Well, the microbiome of the gut is just, if it's not healthy, we're not healthy.
Right.
In fact, basically all health starts in the gut. I think it was one of them, Aristotle, I guess, whoever, one of those old guys that knew what he was talking about and who knew what he was talking about back then. It wasn't either one of those guys. I can't think. Hippocrates said that all disease starts in the gut. Well, he was right, because all health starts in the gut. Mm-hmm. And so when the gut microbiome is not doing well, we're not doing well. And that includes lots of different processes. We're talking about autophagy, which is a natural cleansing and repairing of the cells, and apoptosis, which is a programmed cell death, and they're all tied together. And how the gut microbiome and its health affects both of those. So, and how they affect the gut too. So autophagy is important in regulating the immune response. The gut microbiome is critical for the immune response and a healthy immune system. But autophagy is always cleaning the cells out and removing diseased or aberrant cell organelles or proteins or whatever, and cleaning it up and then recycling them if they can and into new proteins or whatever, but keeping the cell healthy. And so they also help clear pathogens too. If we get a virus in our cells, they can help clear those out too, and because those are proteins or whatever, and they shouldn't be there. But autophagy also modulates the inflammatory pathways. So it's in which we're talking about again, the gut and all that. So when there are aberrant proteins that are in the cells that are in the gut and that are being affected by the bacteria adversely or not, then the autophagy helps clean that up, and it keeps things going healthy. So it actually modulates the signaling pathways, because those are involved with all the different chemicals, proteins that can be aberrant or whatever, and then just maintaining homeostasis. So autophagy is important in all that. Autophagy contributes to maintaining a healthy intestinal barrier, which is designed to keep things that belong in the intestine and out of the bloodstream. And so we don't want toxins or bacteria that are leaking out of the intestines, because let's face it, the gut's it can get pretty nasty in there.
Yeah.
As we know. And so we want to keep the stuff that should not be in the blood out of the blood. And so autophagy helps maintain the cells that make up the barrier, the gut barrier and the lining. And so that's really important. One of the things that the gut bacteria do is they take the food that we eat and really the fibers that we eat that we think of are good for the bacteria, and they break them down into short chain fatty acids, acetic acid, propionic acid, butyric acid or the esters or salts, so the butyrates or propionates or whatever. And boy, and they just use SCFA. You can go to the literature, you see SCFA, short chain fatty acids. Boy, they are important for so many things. And they're important in autophagy and helping autophagy to work like it's supposed to. So they work, there's the yin and the yang. So autophagy is important in helping all that the intestine be healthy, but then the bacteria are involved in helping helping autophagy to work the way it should, because autophagy and apoptosis can get out of whack, and they can contribute to all kinds of problems. So the short chain fatty acids that are broken down by the good bacteria in the gut are really important and critical in both autophagy and apoptosis, certainly in autophagy. And so when there's a dysbiosis like that, we can end up with all kinds of things: type 2 diabetes, obesity, all kinds of other problems. When the immune system and the gut, which affects the immune system, goes out of whack, we have all kinds of things that can go wrong. And so that all works together. So the health of the gut and the bacterial populations of the gut is critical for both apoptosis and autophagy. And again, apoptosis is the programmed cell death. So autophagy tries to repair cells, clean them up, repair cells. If that can't happen, then we've got to get them removed. And then of course there are cells that have lifespans. They need to be removed at a certain age anyway. It's time for them to go. But apoptosis needs to function properly, and if there's a dysbiosis or aberrant populations, maybe the ratios are off in the bacterial population. We've got thousands of different species in the gut. And if they're out of whack, well then that causes all kinds of problems. So that's going to affect autophagy and apoptosis. So maintaining a healthy gut is critical, and that's where getting the right nutrients. And we talk about probiotics are technically now we just say probiotics, they use it to talk about the bacteria themselves. Technically, probiotics are foods that contain good bacteria. So, fermented foods, that and
things such as kefir, yogurts, like active sauerkraut, like real sauerkraut, not the stuff in the can.
Exactly. Those are probiotics. Prebiotics are the foods that the bacteria use. So the fibers. And eating lots of fruits and vegetables and the fibers that we don't break them down, but the bacteria in the gut break them down. Those are really critical, and they know that if you get the right food in you that the bacteria can use, that'll help establish the proper balance. The good bacteria will start eating and they'll get back into a proper balance. So you don't really need probiotics so much. That's not a bad thing to do.
Sure.
But boy, getting those prebiotics, getting the right food, the right nutrients in you is critical for establishing or reestablishing a healthy gut microbiome. And then when you do that, then all the other things, including autophagy and apoptosis, can function the way they're supposed to, at least as far as the gut is involved in controlling them.
Right. Well, and I would figure, the probiotics would always be a great thing to do, especially if you had a situation maybe where you had to take an antibiotic or something and it really knocked them down really bad, where, the prebiotics are always going to keep them functioning. I mean, it's going to feed them. I mean, if they don't have something to eat, they're going to die. So I mean, it sounds like a good balance. And that one thing that you were talking about, I mean, it makes me think of you were talking about the yin and the yang or whatever, but I thought about like a spinning circle. Like if the bacteria aren't doing well, the stomach's not doing well, the stomach's not doing well, the bacteria aren't doing well, and you get up with this crazy cycle. But if you can get that in balance, then you're gonna just live a whole much better life.
And this just made me think of something. I did a lot of research about 20 years ago and wrote a paper about a lot of this. They estimate that before the 20th century, the human diet contained about 1 million times more probiotic in it than we do now, because we're not eating rotten food. Right. I mean, let's face it, they didn't have refrigeration. You know, they'd kill a cow or kill a deer or something and then be eating off of it for a few days. Well,
Sure.
that would make us sick. They were able to tolerate it because they were used to that, but they were getting all those probiotics in there, but we're not getting that now.
Right, well,
So-
they naturally preserve food that way, you know,
Yeah.
with friendly
Yeah,
bacteria,
yeah.
like yogurts and, you know, sauerkrauts and things like that. You know, those are friendly bacteria in the gut
Yeah.
that actually would keep the bad bacteria
So
out.
eating
So,
those foods
yeah.
that are probiotic foods is really a good thing, but the reality is we're never gonna get as much in us as we used to, because we're
Right.
just not, cause we'd be sick if we tried
Yeah.
to eat that stuff, we couldn't tolerate it. So eating those, but also getting the prebiotics
Mhm.
in us is really, really important.
Yeah, and then something else came to mind when you said that, it was like sourdough bread.
Yeah.
You know, where it's just naturally does it with friendly bacteria.
Yeah.
You know, and all those things are good for us to ingest, so
Yeah.
that's good. Well, hey guys, we hope that you learned something from this. If it was a little bit long, hey, we apologize. And also, we heard a little bit of a weed eater or something
Yeah.
outside, so if you heard that, I mean, hey, it is what it is, but you know, there was a little bit too much grass out there, they had to get rid of it, so you gotta do it one way. I guess that was
Well-
apoptosis of the grass unnaturally with a weed eater.
I don't know, but we're living in the
Okay.
real world, so.
Oh, okay. It is what it is, right? All right. Hey, guys, I hope you learned something from this. I'm Sean McAnally,
John Paul.
and this is for the health of it.